Thank you so much for attending my presentation about Mega Abomasnow, the most interesting Mega, and first we quickly need to look at the regular form. Abomasnow looks pretty awful at first glance, having a legitimately terrible stat line. When your best numbers are attacking stats of 92, shit looks pretty rough. This gets worse when you see its typing, Grass Ice. This isn't horrible in a vacuum, but on a slower Pokemon, it's brutal. You have a bunch of weaknesses and don't have too many opportunities to get in cleanly with your Stealth Rock weakness. But where things get way better is the Snow Warning ability, setting Hail on switch-in. While worse than the other weathers, this is very valuable and helps it immensely. This is especially true on offense, where its powerful blizzards are now 100% accurate. This has contributed to many of its main roles as an attacker, leveraging high base power moves to negate those poor stats. Plus, if you want to lean into support, Aurora Veil sets both light screen and reflect at the same time. Very powerful. Of all the megas, Abomasnow might be the most drastically different stat-wise. It gets a huge bump to both attacking stats, keeping their even nature but raising them by a whopping 40. The difference between 92 and 132 is very large and turns it from not very strong to very threatening. In addition, each of its defensive stats get a decent raise. While yes, that defensive typing still sucks ass, it can take hits way easier, and its ability stays the same, letting it get Hail up on every single switch-in even after Mega Evolving. But there is a major downside. Those of you that know about Megas know that they generally go with a 100-point stat buff across the board. However, the differences I've shown off amount to 130, so what happened? Well, its already mediocre speed took a huge hit, dropping down to 30, which is awful. It just isn't outrunning anything, a major problem for a Pokemon that already doesn't love taking hits. Does this spell disaster though? Definitely not. This trade-off isn't all bad, as the Bolt can be very nice. Mega Abomasnow, despite being a blatant attacker, has a surprising amount of options. Since it's mixed, with an attack and special attack that are equal, you can get away with a lot of high base power moves. These tend to be Blizzard and Wood Hammer, each of which deal catastrophic damage even without investment. It does have a problem, that being Steel types, but Abomasnow has a few options to deal with this. In particular, it can use either Earthquake or Focus Blast to nail those resists very hard. Or, if you're a cool motherfucker, you can lean into the damage with Swords Dance and Ice Shard. While you trade off the immediate power of Blizzard, you can mitigate its bad speed with Priority Stab. Also, here's a cool interaction. Mega Abomasnow sets tend to forego Snow Warning on the base variant, instead opting for Soundproof. Since it gets Hail up on Mega Evolving no matter what anyways, this gives it more defensive utility. In particular, it can switch in on Vigavolt's normally super effective Bug Buzzes and do whatever. A very interesting niche that actually does matter. Mega Abomasnow's weaknesses hurt it bad enough to keep it out of both OU and UU proper when it was legal. It just doesn't have the opportunities that you need, but when the power level gets lower, like in its home around RU, it can have a lasting impact. When you run this thing, hazard control to stop Stealth Rocks is very important. After all, taking 25% on switch-in on your bulky Pokemon fucking blows. Even on Web's teams, it's not really fast enough to be a sweeper, so it works best as a powerful breaker. VGC is unfortunately worse for a very simple reason. The opportunity cost is huge. There's so many fucked up megas like Mawile, Salamence, and Kangaskhan to the point where even in Trick Room, Abomasnow can't compete. It does have a cool niche in Hackmons though, where it can use any move, ability, and item at once. By using Refrigerate to turn its normal moves into ice moves and running extreme speed with Swords Dance, it deals a shitload of damage. And since it's slow as balls, you underspeed opposing pivots, which makes switch-in scary. While not an official metagame, the niche is very fun. In conclusion, Mega Abomasnow is really weird. With a crazy stat line and a collection of interesting traits, it can do some cool, unexpected stuff. Sure, it's one of the worst megas, but that doesn't matter as long as it's raw. Thank you so much for watching.